Flag back here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is roll call. All 5 members are present. Next item up is consider approving the minutes held May 27th. Motion been made and second. All in favor? Before we get too far into this tonight, we have to have a presentation. And Tony, could you come on up, please? Leave that there. I'll take that walker. We don't want this. Right up here, Tony. We'll meet you in front.
You want me to read that?
Why not?
Okay. Hi, Tony. Says congratulations to Anthony Thibodeau for receiving the American Legion Department of Maine's EMT Paramedic of the Year Award for 2026. We are grateful for your contributions and the positive difference you have made to the town of Oakland. Dated June 2026.
There you go. Thank you.
And we gave you a little card there. Thank you. Tony, thanks for coming in tonight. Appreciate that. Congratulations.
Good job.
Thank you, Tony, so much. Great representation.
Thanks
Thank you very much. No, thank you. Thank you. Next item up is a sewer budget presentation by Mr. Boyd. The mayor says.
Yeah, so you do have your budgets in your packet. So this is an enterprise account, so pretty much the sewer users fund the sewer budget. And I'll let I pretty much went through and did the void. I figured out the salaries, the insurances, benefits, heating oil, internet, electricity, stuff like that. So then Boyd filled in the rest. I'll let you talk a little bit about what's
Thank you.
happening.
So, if we wanted to, we need to go through every line item, or I can kind of hit the ones that are the most, that have changed the most, I guess, and why. Fringe benefits, obviously Kelly mentioned that. I went back on the town's insurance. I had been on my wife's insurance before that, so there's a increase there of about 15,000, I think, to account for that, insurance. Item 2660, the main pump station equipment and repair. I actually reduced that by $5,000 because we have done a few repairs on the existing pumps at the pump station last year, plus some electrical. But there are other reasons we had to reduce that. And I'll get into that a little bit, mostly the Waterville Sewer District expenses. So I did reduce that by 5,000 to make up some of the difference on Waterville Sewer District one. Libby Hill Pump Station repairs, last year was 11,000. We bought a spare submersible pump. So I reduced that, hoping that I won't have to do much on that pump station this year. Reduced that by about 9,000 from the budget last year. And you can see year to date, we'd only spent $1,000. So I thought I was going to have to replace one of those pumps, but it's held on. So we're going to push that another year. The big ones, Candy sewage charges, which is, we got 2 different connection points to Waterville. We've got one on Canyon Moore Drive that feeds from First Park and everything, Pine Acres, residential development up there. That all feeds to Waterville at that location. And then we have a second connection to Waterville, which is on the Web Road. So the KMD account, or a KMD meter, what we refer to it as, is actually billed a little differently than the Web Road. And it's mostly because of the components that Waterville Sewer District had when we did this whole conversion, when we got rid of the sewer treatment plant here and we sent everything down the Web Road. Most of the town feeds to Web Road. So they worked with us to actually reduce what was originally being charged to Oakland by water bill on KMD to make it more balanced, equitable cost for the town of Oakland. And they did that back in 2014, 15 when I first started. So that was very helpful for the town of Oakland. Saved us a lot. They worked well with us there. The KMD sewer charges, I don't see a lot of change there. Cost, there is a slight increase, like a 16% increase, Waterville Sewer District has. But I think based upon the last few years, I think 17,000, which is a $2,000 reduction from last year, will be reasonable and appropriate. We don't see a lot of inflow and infiltration and groundwater up there because it's a brand new system for the most part with First Park and Pine Acres. It's, well, now it's 40 years old, but it's still PVC pipe holding up well. We don't see a lot of wide fluctuations in that. So I think 17,000 is appropriate in that location. The big one is the Webb Road sewer charges, but I want to really spend a little bit of time on. Remember, we did this whole project in 2021 to 23. We've actually seen a significant reduction in our flows. It's a little hard to tell if, I know it's not all related to the sewer project because we've been in a drought the last year and a half. So we have to take that with a grain of salt, but I have seen significant improvements in the, just for instance, the South Alpine area. We used to see pretty heavy flows at any time in the spring, and we basically dropped to, we reduced probably 90% of that flow just for that one project. So, so it's a significant dollar savings to the town. So there is a benefit to the project. So we were projecting this year that we're going to continue on with that lower flow going to Waterville. Obviously, every gallon we save from sending it to Waterville, we're not paying to pump it. We're not paying Waterville to treat it. It's a benefit for the sewer customers. In January of this year, Kennebec Sanitary Treatment District, which is who treats all the sewage from Winslow, Waterville, Fairfield, Hootamaki, all, including Oakland, were customers of Waterville Sewer District. They ended up assessing a 26.7% rate increase to Waterville Sewer District. It was a surprise to Waterville Sewer District. They had no idea it was coming. So they've been scrambling for 6 months, paying out of reserves to keep the lights on, basically, to pay KSD.
And that increase happened in January.
In January of this year. So like I said, it was a complete surprise to Waterville. From what I understand, half of the rate increase was an adjustment due to a miscalculation from either prior year or previous year, some financial miscalculation, and they were basically paying catch up. So that 26.7% increase was about half of that was related to that. Part of it is related to Hootamaki. They've done some work on their site. Hootamaki is one of the contributors to KSCD. And they have done some work to reduce their total suspended solids, which has basically shifted some of those costs onto the surrounding communities. What they've saved, the other communities kind of take up their share of what they've saved. So Kennebec Sanitary Treatment District, again, is a Waterville Sewer District feeds, and that has other communities, Winslow and others do as well. They charge communities in Hootamaki based upon a percentage of a value of 40% of their charge related to flow, 30% of the charge is related to BOD, which is a treatment component, and 30% is related to total suspended solids. So there's a complicated formula that they use. They take all the data from the previous year. They figure out who's flowing what, who is providing a more concentrated sewer volume to KSPD, and then they divvy up all those costs. A lot of their costs are fixed, so there can be some wide fluctuations from one year to the next, depending on flows and a number of factors. So, so the 26.7% increase doesn't mean we have a 26.7% increase from water to sewer district. Flow and things like that is only 1/4 of what they charge us, so 25% of 4 different components to what Waterville charges us. So, flow is, and that rate increase only affects the treatment components, which is one of those. So it's not like we're seeing a 26.7% increase, but we're projected to see a pretty significant increase of what we've seen this past year. So I bumped that up to $180,000. Hopefully our flows will stay down and we have a dry year and it won't be at that level, but I felt it was wise to be cautious. So, we can come back to that if anybody has any questions. So what we did on sewer maintenance repairs last year, we had $23,000 budgeted. We spent year to date, we had a pretty decent year on that, about $9,900. So I reduced that down to $10,000. Mostly reducing these items to make up for the water to sewer district overage. System cleaning at 27,000 last year. We're gonna knock that down to just under 12,000 this year. Still got the general fund reserve repayment from the project we had a few years ago. As part of this budget, I did back out the $30,000 reserve allocation, main replacement, what we instituted last year. If we see if we see numbers that are much less than what I'm projecting for the water to sewer district, then hopefully we can roll some of those funds into that capital reserve to keep building that up for main replacement. So, the only other big item that I had was our remote alarm system. It's called Mission Communications. We've been running on outdated equipment for probably 4 years, if not 5 years right now. We've just been kind of pushing it along, and hopefully we can have the funding to be able to fund that upgrade. It's at the main pump station, just to be able to alarm. We've kind of grouped alarms together. So when I get an alarm, it's one of 5 things. I got to kind of go in and figure it out. Whereas new upgraded system will tell you this is the alarm, so I know what I'm dealing with as I'm driving to the site. So if we have any issue or it's for whatever reason Waterville Sewer District and we have a lot of high flows due to groundwater, that'll probably be the first to go. That alarm system will kick another year down the road and that. Kind of a bare bones budget. Obviously, the 26.7% rate increase has us a little concerned as far as the impacts on that. So we do have, I think, 209,000 in unappropriated surplus.
9644. Yep.
So we've got some cushion there. I guess what I'd like to propose to the board is we just changed our rate. We just had a rate increase last year. Don't really want to do another one this year. I think I'd recommend we ride this out at a bare bones tight as we can, and then see how the water and sewer district things affect us and kind of plan for next year. KSTD has projected to water and sewer district that they're looking at a 7% increase each year in the next 5 years. So these costs we're gonna have to deal with them at some point, which would probably mean another rate increase. But didn't really want to do that to the customers of Oakland right after we did a rate increase last year. I think we can make it on what we have, especially where we have that unappropriated surplus as a cushion.
And we are gonna move and create a sewer capital equipment account to take the 30,000 that was allocated this year and move it in that capital account so that can grow and carry. So if something drastic happens. And that's kind of why we put it in there last year, is we wanted to start building up something. Our stuff's getting old, and
The whole idea behind that was to actually get something in the budget, so every 3 years we could do
something.
300 feet of main or something like that and work and knock down these clay pipes that are costing the customers a lot of money. Because of erosion. So I think it's a good game plan. I mean, unfortunately, this year we've got to see what happens with Waterville Sewer District charges and groundwater infiltration. Hopefully we stay low and we'll be okay.
And I do want to throw it out there that, Boyd has been doing a lot of other things for the town. Design work, wetland delineations, the ATV trail, the boat landing, the landfill work. Next year, when we do the general fund budget, I would like to add about 30% of his salary to the active budget. Because it's not fair that the ratepayers are paying 100% of the salary when he's not doing 100% of the work or just sewer. I got him doing all kinds of other things. It does. It does, so.
Because you're doing a lot other than sewer projects.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's just,
Yeah.
to me, it's a fairness thing. It's when I'm gone and somebody else in position, things are divvied up appropriately. So it's, plus the cost is spread out over a lot more people, it's the 800 customers, so.
One day I was in talk with you, you mentioned Water Street, the state still talks with you about projects down there in the future and they get put off. No, when they do that, that's gonna involve quite a lot of work for you, isn't it?
For Water Street, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we applied for several grants this year. One was Water Street, Belgrade. It was a 3-point-something million project. We applied directly to Sam, Collins and King for that. And then I don't think we've heard anything on that. And then we applied for another grant for West School Street. And that was through DOT, Infrastructure Adaptation Grant, I think is what it was referred to. So if we get those funds, obviously that's all clay pipe. So what we found is there's definitely a reduction in flow whenever we replace the clay. And we would do is we would replace it like on Water Street. The idea was the water company's coming in to finish their work now. They have one more phase left after the summer, and then they'll be completely replaced. So we were able to, fortunate enough to get this grant, we could replace our sewer in the road, and then we could apply to a DOT for a complete rebuild like we did on Main Street back in 2000. And basically rebuild, put new sidewalk and make that, a very strong triangle of roads in town. So that's kind of the big key plan for that.
So I got a quick question for him. I actually lived down to Wall Street, on the side street. It's, I noticed that, it's been a couple of years now. They stopped doing the pipe work when you get down to the, all detail on Water Street.
The water company, you mean?
Well, yeah, water, and I also believe you guys were involved in that too, because you guys were also changing your pipes up on Alpine, right?
We did it on Alpine Street, yes. We
Yeah.
replaced all of Alpine Street. Yeah.
And like I said, it's been a couple of years since they got to that point, they stopped. When originally the water company sent out letters saying that they were gonna go all the way down to Water Street as far as the post office and then connect into East School Street or whatever they were gonna do. Well, it's been a couple of years. I know that they went down last year, they made their markings for dig safe and all of that, and nothing got done. They've been down again this year, made their dig safe marks, and still nothing's been done.
That actual work is taking place this summer. They sent us a traffic.
This is phase 3
That
coming
phase,
this summer.
yeah, phase 2 or whatever of theirs.
Yeah.
But they're gonna replace all the way to the post office and stuff,
So they are for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we've been told.
So I'll actually be able to maintain clear water, right?
What's that?
So I'll actually be able to maintain clear water in my apartment house now.
I'm sure it'll allow.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll allow.
So 2 things, we can either wanna go over revenues.
Sure. Yep.
And real quick, and then we can.
So, revenues we projected, this year or this past year, we're a little under that, mostly because the new rates didn't take effect till our first till our second billing in October. Because the rates didn't take effect till July 1. So we were about 20,000 under projection there, but fortunately Kelly and everybody in staff at the town office was able to contact people and get a lot of past due accounts caught up, which really made a difference on our budget. That basically made the difference of almost balancing on what we had projected. So
Yeah, we gained $19,568 in lien collection that we didn't have to foreclose on.
Yeah. So this year, the 626 is what we're projecting based upon, it's been a number of new houses and with what we're seeing for the quarterly billing. We believe we're gonna be in the $626,000 range for our sewer billing revenue, which will, that'll obviously go a long ways to help things be provided. So the rate increase was very important. For those revenues, obviously, we didn't see the Waterville Sewer District ASTD thing coming, but hopefully we can adjust.
We made some big adjustments,
Yeah.
but
We're in a better position than we would have been without the rate increase, so we have some capacity.
so there's two things. We can digest this, think of questions, have them come back the next meeting, or if you're fine with this, we can pass it. It's up.
I'm good with this. I don't know how others feel. I'd make a motion, we accept this budget. For this presented.
Motion been made, seconded by Kelly, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Thank you.
So pray for no rain and we'll be all set.
Next item up is required a vote to approve transfer station forfeiture. I mean, it's a transfer of forfeiture funds.
Yeah, so we had 3 people that pretty much have to pay back the town for from crime that was committed. So I have to sign off on these. There has to be a municipal vote. I think I signed them. Yeah, I'll sign them and send them back, but it's about $6,100. We've gotten these before. They go right into the drug forfeiture account and they kind of sit there and are used when needed. We haven't used them in a while, but so we just need a vote to accept this money and I'll send these back.
I'd make a motion, we accept those forfeitures again.
Motion made, seconded by Sue, all in favor?
Yep.
Thank you. Next item up is approving a couple liquor licenses, Alden Camps and the Thirsty Mule.
Yeah, Thirsty Mule came in after the agenda went out, but Kathy has those.
Yeah, I have them, always is, if it's okay with you, I've talked to Chief Deborah, they've had no problems or anything there. So I just need the okay, so I can go on to the state website and say that we're given. Then we'll go ahead for another year.
I'd make a motion, we grant those licenses.
Motion is made, seconded by Bob, all in favor? Good. Next item up is talking about the holding tank for Camp Tracy.
Mr. Smart is here this evening.
So the town of Oakland has a holding tank ordinance, which means that if we approve a holding tank, the municipal officers need to sign it. 3 of you guys can sign it. It's a state mandated subsurface wastewater disposal rules. I got a form here from Bob Gilchrist, who designed the pump tank with the alarm. Everything is 100% legit. I just need signatures saying that we're okay with it for the state.
What are they doing now?
So this is just a holding tank for a nurse's station. So what they have is an arts and crafts building that's been there for years. They call it the Lodge. And with their licensing, they have a nurse now that stays there throughout the camp. Well, in that nursing station, there needs to be a sink.
Yeah.
Well, that sink needed a system. So instead of putting a total gray water system in, they just put a 1,500 gallon holding tank, which will get pumped out. And it's just one sink. Oh, there's an eye wash station too. Yeah. So, yeah. Pretty simple. Yeah.
Aaron's here.
Good.
She said you had something. Yes, Steve, go home, please. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
No.
Little-
Let's talk about,
Thank you, sir.
You guys.
Next
Next time we'll start with you and then you and Kelly.
That didn't work out.
Yeah. Same thoughts.
so we have a 4M salvage.
4M Motors, over by Williams. Used to be an auto garage. We've given those guys, a license they sell salvaged cars. So they have a salvage license. So they'll buy a totaled car or with a salvage title. They fix them up, then they sell them. It's all state regulated. But in order for them to operate, we've always had to give them a salvage license, which we have. Our ordinance says that if it's transferred ownership, which the permit that we issue every fall is non-transferable. So we found out that they did transfer ownership. There's 2 new owners of this. So state found out, contacted me and said, is this transferable? I looked at our ordinance, it's not. So in order for them to operate, I just need your grace to let Kathy know so Kathy can reinstate their license. That's all.
Kelly?
I remember when they came to the council years ago and asked for that. Remember them telling you that it was going to be just a couple of cars at a time and then they were gonna be sold at a different location? That they were just gonna work on them there?
I think it was they were gonna work on them. I recall something like that where they were gonna work. I thought they were gonna work on somewhere else. And sell them out of there.
Oh, yeah, or vice versa. Maybe it was vice versa.
But they're packed.
I have noticed lately, there's a good 30 or 40 cars there. And they're junks until they repair them. I was surprised there was no requirement for fencing or anything. That was a little concerning because when it's full, it looks pretty bad.
I agree with you. I think that it's, so the town of Oakland has we just have a junkyard license, right? Which theirs is not a junkyard. They're supposedly it's a salvage license, but they have recycling, I guess. But you're 100%. I told them when they came in, I was like, well, you have 25, 30 cars out there missing bumpers and hoods right next to a school. I mean, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but anyway, so for a transfer, I just need your grace. So if you guys want to just think about it, or if you guys want to approve it, it doesn't matter to me one bit. I have asked them to clean it up several times, and they instantly do that. They're very responsive. Yeah. I don't know. It's not up to me. But it's close to the school.
Do we treat them differently than we treat a junkyard?
Yes. Yeah.
But they really are no different than a junkyard.
Per our ordinance, I guess they should have fencing and they can't be close to a school, they can't be close to a well, they can't be close. That's if they're junking their cars, meaning like they're throwing cars out into a field and letting them rot until the price of scrap goes up to scrap them. I think that's how our ordinance is drafted, the way I read it. Which there's several different types of junkyards, I guess, which would be recycling like Ames Recycling, or the recycling Kennebec down on Fairfield Street. Then you have like Jay Boulette's, which is a salvage yard that he stores cars out there in case you want to park for an 86 square body. Like you have junkyard up on top with Jeff Higgins that there's nothing there. He has a junkyard license and doesn't put anything in it. The same thing with the Davis junkyard. He still gets a junkyard license, but there's not one car over there that's unregistered. So there's several different types. I think that it's very, I don't know, putting everything together.
But the previous owners, that was just a car dealership.
But way back in the day, it was a car dealership, right?
Yeah.
Dana, you should know that. Yeah.
So,
When I was a kid, they had like 4 cars and they never sold it. Yeah. Yeah, and then it sat vacant for a while. Ed Oliver owns the building now. He owns the mobile home, the garage, and where the auto place runs out of. But I will definitely say, Kelly, you're 100% correct, and it has looked like crap.
I think there should be some paid fencing.
Yeah.
It's way too close to this one. My parents live right next door on the other side. And, you know, there are kids going through there all the time, you know, and I just think fencing would be very helpful.
That's
so
I think the problem comes when somebody who has a junkyard and they have a fence, so you can't see the cars, comes and says, why can he do that? And then the fight begins, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, do this for the next meeting and we can all take a look. And maybe he'd like to put up a fence.
maybe.
solid fence.
Yeah.
Not chain.
Would the fence go around the entire property, or the fence just go screening from the school?
I can see when I drive by, I guess.
I would suggest 3 sides would be my suggestion.
Because they do sell, because the only thing is, they do sell vehicles there. So the street, you would be able to see it from the street.
I see 3 sides, I mean, side, back, and side,
Okay.
like a horseshoe.
I think for years they did what they come in and said they were gonna do when they got their license, because there was 2 or 3 cars and they weren't really wrecks. They needed some work. They didn't look really junky around there for years, but they have changed recently in what they're.
Oh, that place was, when you came into my office, I go, what are you running over there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just cars.
Up until recently, it's pretty much been what they said they were gonna do years ago.
A bumper, or a couple of lights, a hood, something like that. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And it was never laying around. At one point, there was a bumper when I was dropping my daughter off to school. I saw there was a bumper up there for 3 or 4 days. So I pulled in and said, hey, get rid of that bumper. I don't want to look at it anymore. And it was gone. By the time I drove out of the driveway, it was gone. So, I mean, they are very responsive that way, but yeah, it's right in the middle of town, and it could be something that.
So I move we table this till the next meeting and have the code enforcement officer talk to them about something they might do to.
Second, motion for me, second, all in favor? It's tabled. Thank you, Nate. Go on.
Aaron is here to do an update on our parks. We had a tabled it and did a 2-week.
Right. As Kelly stated, I watched the last meeting and I saw that Councilman Wrigley had mentioned about, asking to monitor the parks for the next 2 weeks. So what we've been doing every day, either myself or my assistant will go into each one of the parks, go down to the waterfront, go up to the overlook or to Pleasant Point, walk around, check for trash, check for anything else that really shouldn't be there, any other issues that have gone on. I'm happy to report that even with these nice hot summer days that we've had in the past few weeks, there has been little to no trash other than the occasional wrapper that might fall out of someone's pocket. Or, we're at the snack shack on Friday during one of the baseball games and a lollipop wrapper is there from a kid who just doesn't put in the trash. We have not seen any more trash. The only version of vandalism you might call it is that we started up our program for the scavenger hunts again, and one of the hummingbirds that we screwed in was missing. We don't know if it was stolen. We don't know what the aspect of that was. Granted, they may not have been put up high enough where someone couldn't access them or reach them, which is something we're investigating. But that's the only thing of vandalism, I would say. There hasn't been anything else that has occurred at the parks. No complaints have been brought to my attention from anybody that's been unhappy with what's been going on with the parks. I know Pleasant Point has been packed. Half of the parking lot's probably possibly full with people trying to use the water and go swimming there. It's been great days. There have been a couple of phone calls to the police about a couple of situations. I think last Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, there were 2 calls. One was to go during the day and check in on a couple of people. Checked in, didn't see anything visually. And there was another one in the evening saying that there was 20 people up there that were having a party and drinking and doing things. And by the time they went up to go check, there was nothing there. And there was nothing left for remnants of doing anything. There was no trash or anything. Since then, I've also reached out to the MRPA, which is the Maine Rec and Parks Association, to check in other towns. So now there was a suggestion of charging non-residents to come to the parks. So I took it upon myself to reach out to multiple towns and see what they do for their parks. Do they charge non-residents? Do they charge residents? What do they do? I got full responses since then. I have the emails with me, like give them to you guys as well as packets, so you guys can look over them and read them. But I just wanted to highlight what they said. Skowhegan, which is right nearby, responded very quickly, said they do not charge for anything to go to their parks. What they mentioned would be concerned about cost for putting somebody there, to pay someone to be there, or if you're putting up a stand, paying for that as well. Other options that have been posed is that there's stickers for residents. So then you have to go through the process of purchasing stickers for residents so they don't have to get checked when they come in. Talked about economic trade-offs. You know, non-residents come into this town and they spend money at Buddy's Groceries. They spend money at the corner store, Oakland House of Pizza, to go up and sit at our parks to go eat that and enjoy it. You know, if we start charging them to come, there could be potential if they don't come anymore, and we miss out on their business. And then they talked about the potential loss of grants. Potentially, if we're making money off of the parks, if it were to get to that point, then we possibly could not be getting grants because we're actually making money off of that, where other towns, other places aren't making money. That was it from Skowhegan. Wyndham talked about they did charge for a Dundee park. It's a little bit more of an elevated park and more advanced park down there. But they do have somebody that there is sitting there as an attendant, and they charge people to come in. But they don't charge for any other parks. You know, they talked about the money side of things and how much it would be. Same thing with Skowhegan to put that together. As far as communication with the trash issues or vandalism or other things, they recommended education, talking about education to people and getting information out there about that. And they highlighted if the park was built with LWCF money. I don't personally know what LWCF is off the top of my head. I don't know if anybody else might know what that is. But they said if it was put together with LWCF money, that you can't charge. It must be open to all, you know, residents are free of charge. Non-residents that you can charge a lower fee. But that was just something they wanted you to know. Falmouth, when the town reached out, they do not charge unless a reservation is not 2/3 Falmouth residents. So say a baseball team wanted to come in and use the fields, if it's not 2/3 that team that's residents, they need to get charged, and it's a reservation fee, but they don't charge for public use during the day or anything during that time. And then Gorham responded, they don't charge for any of their parks. They do have somebody that lives on site for one of their parks. They live there during the summer and they're allowed to check things out, make sure things don't happen. And they're making sure that doesn't happen. They did say that since that's been going on, there has been a couple of things the past couple of years for some incidents, and they're working on that and possibility of just charging parking to go there. They talked about $10 for a parking fee, but that's just something that they were talking about doing. And I know that I'm here to speak on behalf of what's happened the past couple of weeks, but the last council meeting I wasn't able to be here just to address and voice my concerns as the Parks Director for the town of Oakland. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that. Like we talked about, the other towns mentioned the cost of the person being there. You know, there's potential that you could get a lot of people that come in and you make that money to fund that position, and that works out great and well. But I feel, in my opinion, that if you start to charge people to come to the parks, they're probably not going to come, and then you're not going to have that money to pay for that person that's going to be there. I also talked about my thought process with the economic problems of people coming to the businesses. You know, I thought that would take away from the businesses. We're working on putting an ATV trail together to bring other people into the town and to use our local businesses and spend money on our local businesses. So I just want to, highlight that and bring that into attention. And the same thing with our non-residents now. If they're here and they're coming here, they're spending money in our businesses and they're using our areas. Potentially the funding for future was the thing that I wanted to talk about beforehand. And then sometimes when you bring on more rules or you bring on more regulations to places, there could be potentially more issues that come from it. If there's someone that's at the park from a certain time of the day, those people can come to the park in the evening and they're going to just do whatever they want because there's nobody there, and more issues could come from that possibility happening. And then depending on what was decided or what was talked about or doing the charging of non-residents, thinking about the residents of Oakland, if we were to do it, we would need to come into some situation or some standard in place so that way they wouldn't need to be checked every time they come to the parks. I've only been in Oakland for a few years, but I can tell you that I don't know everybody that lives in Oakland. And so I'm guessing if someone we hired in that position would know everyone that comes into Oakland, so they'd have to check all the vehicles. And I don't want that to be something that happens for the Oakland residents when they're here. But in all seriousness, this is a council decision and something that you guys need to think about. And if it's something we want to do and discuss further and talk about multiple different options, I'm open and available to do whatever I can to make the town of Oakland the best for everybody.
I think that's great. I think that's what we wanted to know, was what was going on at the parks and whether we had an issue or not. And it sounds like you checked it out well, and the police department took care of a couple issues that you found, and I think that's great. I had bad cold last week, so I couldn't go to your senior citizens lunch, so you owe me a hamburger.
We'll keep out, don't worry.
You missed a good one.
LWCF stands for Land Water Conservation Fund.
Okay. So I don't know if any of our parks were put together with that. And I don't know if our grants from inland and fisheries for the boat landing project, so I don't know if that would affect anything or not either, but I know that was mentioned last week as the last council meeting as well, as to check in on that as well.
I think personally, it's really great that we have some places like the Overlook and the Pleasant Point, and some places where people can go with their kids and not have to get their wallet out. Everywhere you go, somebody wants your wallet out to take a little donation, but if we can not do that, I think it's great, because people can take their families there and they don't have to get their wallet out and pay something every time they go. So,
Yeah, last year,
they're already paying for it, so.
last year during our drought, we were working on getting our sprinkler system up and running over there on the field to try to get it going. And I know there was someone that came in from a different town. I can't remember exactly where they were from, but they came in to put their kayaks and things in there. And they highlighted how it was great that the park was open and available to people, so they can just bring that in. They don't have to get charged for parking or anything like that.
Yeah.
They also mentioned that when they're there and they see trash, they help to pick it up as well and take care of those things too. So, yeah. Yes.
Thank you for your thorough research.
Of course. Absolutely. Does anybody want the emails? Looking or review the emails? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're pretty thorough.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Two more things. 2025 property tax liens going out tomorrow. Right now, we are at 155 accounts. $331,992 still owed. So I did make some calls today and there are no answers, so it is what it is. Those will be going out tomorrow. And then, as you know, we've been working on the design of a town office. A new town office, but this is probably 2-3 years out before we get it on a ballot, get a vote and all that. Once the police station's paid off, we'd like to pursue this. Boyd's been doing a lot of CAD work and kind of positioning the building, how we think it might fit on the property where we took the house down. But Brian Duffy, who designed this building and the police station, has agreed to do some CAD work and architectural services. So not to exceed Well, the CAD work, they're separate. CAD work is not to exceed $5,000. And the architectural services are not to exceed $10,000. We do have approximately $172,000 left in our municipal building reserve, which is not taxpayer money. It is money that was used, pretty much, we got it from foreclosures before the law changed. And we were able to get the design work done on these two buildings with that money. We were able to buy the house on the corner with that money, so. I guess I'm asking if it's okay to pursue this and enter into this agreement with Brian.
I think you need to do some studying like that and get down the road for you
Yeah.
and see what you can put there. Somebody asked me about that today and we were coming down Main Street and said, what is the plan? And I told them about what you told us there, that, you know, we're looking in the future, but it would be really nice if that place was gone before we had to start building the other one. And we talked about, wonder what it would cost to rent something, to move something. There's a lot of work. It's gonna cost quite a bit, but it would really improve what we end up with if that place was gone before we had to put the new one there.
It's gonna happen. We've looked at every scenario possible over there, and we've got a couple different options that the committee's looked at, but it's such a small area that the spot that we're thinking makes the most sense would be connecting to the police station.
Yeah.
And that would be right to where the town office is. So that would have to come down. We'd have to do like the schools do, I presume, was you get a modular that you put in your rent for a period of time to public access to the town office. Get everything out, demolish a building, build a new building, and then move people from the modular back into the new town. It's a lot of.
In the day, the town office people moved out, within a week, Jeff would have that place gone and you could have an empty lot to work on, but, you know.
Tear it down.
Yeah,
It's like,
we're gonna do it with sledgehammers first.
but,
Make it a range rover.
you know, it's, so, gonna be planned out and
And that's what Kelly's talking about is the same thing we did with the police station with Brian and the fire station. It's basically this first. He just kind of works with a committee to get the layout, make sure everything works, architecturally, code wise. So it's kind of like a conceptual design of what the town office might look like. And then I think he does elevations or like a projection view. So we used to use those like on both these buildings to
Promote.
yeah, show it to the public, this is what we're looking at, so it really was worth the money having to keep on.
well, that's this person now we're talking about and how nice it is. Down Fairfield Street now to the stop sign, you can see way up Kennedy and the police department can look out their window and see clear to the top of Main Street and, see what's going on. So it would be too bad to block that view up if we didn't have to.
Yeah, the current design, other than parking.
Yeah.
That's what's probably gonna be where that building is that we're kind of looking almost like an L configuration, but we really the committee wants the entrance to the town office to be facing Main Street, Candy. And the way we looked at it last 2021, it was in the far southeast corner and the entrance was facing police station.
Yeah.
But we really wanted that kind of openness of, having that face of Main Street Candy, I think is a big deal. And I think everybody in the committee agreed. And if we can make it work that way.
The ice will melt in the winter.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits there. So, and it's welcoming, right? I mean, it's facing right off Main Street in Oakland. So I think that's a good thing. So.
Did you want to vote on that, Millie, or
Yes, please.
I'd make a motion? What was the total? 15.
One is for 5, no more than 5, one's no more than 10, so under 15.
I'd make a motion, we do that. So the committee can have it to work with.
Motion been made, second by Kelly, all in favor?
Thank you. And that is. Oh, the building committee on your. Agenda says it's tomorrow, but you moved it. To the 17th. So that Brian can be there. So. Okay. Then anybody can come.
Kelly, do you have anything? Sure, did you have, Bob, did you have?
I do not. I'm all set.
Couple of things I had, I've been contacted by a number of people from businesses in town. They're saying they're absolutely tickled with all the ATV traffic. The ice cream place up here said that it was awesome. Downtown businesses are seeing more and more people, so they said, thank you very much to the council. They said it's a great move and look forward to seeing more.
That brings up one question I'd like to ask. Are you hearing anything from the railroad, Kelly? I know that's your hold up on the park is CSX and.
Crickets. It's ridiculous. But next week, tomorrow, you wanna tell them about?
Yeah, so we have, we're doing this project in phases. We're gonna do this project in phases. We have to get to the railroad so the railroad can do their work. Obviously, they have not even responded to Kelly's, last 5 or 6 emails over the last 3 months. So they had given us a verbal approval in an email, or not verbal, but an email approval. But they really haven't followed up.
I did speak to an Oakland resident who works for CSX, who contacted somebody who gave them my number, so. Anyway,
Tomorrow, we're gonna have, the wetlands person come up. We flagged out center line of where the road would go up on that site. And they have to, in accordance with DEP standards, if it's been more than 6 months since the wetland delineation been done, they have to go out and just verify that the wetland have changed, grown, lessened. We obviously hope it's less, so we're actually gonna have, she's gonna flag tomorrow all the wetlands, and then Bob Milton will go in and locate those. We don't have a lot of impact, but we're very close to the threshold of needing a permit, so it's important to get that accurately located before we start digging. But then after that's done, it's pretty much on your schedule to get in and start working on, get to the railroad, which I don't think we're gonna be able to go beyond that.
That's the sequence. Is first you gotta get the road in for the railroad to work on the railroad. Yeah, they'll work on the railroad supposedly.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, we'd love to have the railroad communicate with us to say, you're all set.
Yeah.
Instead of us building a road and hoping and praying that they don't change our.
they have to give us a crossing. We own on the other side of it, so they have to give it to us.
I do have one.
Yeah.
A meeting or two ago, Kelly mentioned the bridge on School Street by the post office, how it had a hole.
Yes.
Now the hole would swallow a medium-sized car. I came across there today. I don't know whose bridge that is, that one.
It's our
The state.
It's ours, isn't it?
I don't know whose bridge it is, but they need,
I thought they turned them over to towns a few years ago, did some maintenance on them, like the Rice Rick Bridge, didn't they do some maintenance and then say we could have it?
I don't really know about that. I know I've seen DOT people near that bridge you're talking.
Yeah.
Like in the last couple of years. I
whatever
don't know.
whatever they did didn't work. The coal patch was not gonna fix that hole in the bridge.
I haven't been through there. I'll take a look at
They need bigger coal.
You need a bigger coal patch.
it. Reach out to me to
2 bridges.
find out. Maybe I'll take 2 pages.
That's all I had, Sue. Make a motion. Motion made, seconded by Dana, all in favor. Good night, folks, and thank you for coming.